Hello ladies and gentlemen, Panzer here and welcome back to Crossout, and today we have a special build. Today it's the Stealth Tank. That was actually really well timed. So this is actually the Stealth Tank that I've been working on for a while now, and it's kind of inspired by the Stealth Tank from Command & Conquer Tiberian Dawn. Yes, the very first Command & Conquer game, the ones that you might have seen in the cinematics that they used to do back then, which was so early 3D. And this, well, it's not exactly the same sort of shape, but it has the same basic design. It's a quad-tracked vehicle, and it has a split chassis, so it actually has a sort of cross-shaped frame there, and it really is very much like the Stealth Tank in Tiberian Dawn, at least in principle. And it also is armed with primarily rockets, so to compensate for that I've actually put an ammo pack on this. So yeah, it's primarily a PvP build obviously, so you're not going to really be doing anything much in PvE with this, with the limited ammo capacity. Even with the ammo pack on here, it really doesn't help all that much. But the actual mountings of the weapons, now these are very flimsy and I'm not really too happy with them. If I had the parts for it, I would of course do something a little bit different, and I'm actually working on a Mark II already of this that has the Cricket 17Ms on it instead, so that will be coming in future. But of course you can see just how much damage you can really do with two of these launchers on here, and if you can get them to hit pretty close to center mass, you can actually do some decent amount of damage. Now you have noticed I have covered the tracks only on the sides, and that's because I wanted to have a good amount of terrain crossing ability. I don't want to cover the tracks at the front. So before we get into some gameplay, I will be showing you just how much, how good at crossing terrain this really is with this current shape. So that looks like a pretty steep slope, and if we go up it, no issues whatsoever. Can just keep going on and on. It really is just that good, and it also can carry a decent amount of speed, because these small tracks don't limit your speed as much as the other tracks do, such as the armored track or even the hardened track. So you can still have a decent amount of speed. There isn't enough energy to put an engine on this, so that is going to affect our acceleration a little bit, but otherwise we should be okay. And of course this is just the Mark I Chameleon. It doesn't last that long, but it's good for setting up ambushes, of course, or getting away from enemies. So yeah, without further ado, I'm going to jump into some gameplay now, and let's see what's what. As always, the build breakdown will be at the end of the video, so please stay tuned for that. Alright, here we go, and this is a 3,500 power score vehicle, so it's in the same sort of tier as the original Bumblebee in a previous video, so go have a look at that if you haven't already. It uses the Wyvern cabin, of course, so that's something to bear in mind there, and we can fire those off into the distance there. They're unguided, but you can actually use them as a sort of makeshift artillery. So you can see we can actually get a couple of hits there already and make use of the splash damage. But of course that's not what it really is for, and we're gonna get ourselves sniped by staying here. So let's reverse into this tree over here and try to get away. Yes, I did intend to reverse in the tree, and don't let the internet tell you otherwise. Alright, so using the camo to just sneak our way across to the other side here. And let's fire off a couple of rockets in that direction. I believe we've been seen. And we're not really hitting anybody yet. Yeah, that is a cannon that happens to have hit our track on the right, which is a bit of a problem because it has also taken away our chameleon module. So a bit of a flaw with this design is that the chameleon is all the way at the front. That's definitely something to think about if you're going to try and replicate this for yourself. Alright, so let's try and change tactics a little bit. I think what we can try to do instead is sort of just hide about for a little while. See, I'm thinking, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide over here for a while. Just kind of wait. I want to see where the team is going, really, because I can see where the enemies are distributed, and I really don't want to go into the drains area now. It looks like we've got three of them pushing straight down the middle. One of them's coming down this way. Is he going straight down? He is. Alright. Let's lie in wait for you. Well, that was a bit of a fail, but let's see if we can get to them. Oh, they've disappeared. Aha! Another chameleon! I see you. And they happen to have disarmed us, which is a bit of a... What I was saying earlier as well, is kind of something I wasn't too keen on. Is the struts and the wasp launchers themselves need better protection. Kind of why the Bumblebee had them mounted so low. So, yeah, if you really don't get the... If you really don't get the jump on them, you're going to really screw yourself over. And that's kind of the big flaw of it. So it really is just an ambush predator. You have to get in there quietly, and if you can't do that, you're kind of screwed. So, not so good. Okay, so here we go again, and I'm starting to realise that as well. One of the main issues with this build is going with tracks instead of wheels means that you are able to cross all sorts of different terrain, but when a map such as this comes up with very little terrain variation, then yeah, it's not really necessary and it's just limiting your speed. Wheels would work as well. In fact, we have enough space to put wheels on too, so that's another option as well. Now, one thing that I do actually try to consider, of course, instead of just making viable builds, is... Well, I've not really made that many viable builds, and they're all kind of just jokey builds, really. And that's sort of the point. Oh god, this AI just got in the way. And I'm gonna be disarmed now because of him. Well, I'm going down with a fight then. Or not. Alright, last match of the day, and you can see that it's not a build that's very easy to get used to. I mean, trying to play a cloaker build takes practice to begin with, and it's not something that I normally play with. But this is just something that I definitely did want to make. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to stay back a little bit and use the cloak for escape. Since we don't have the speed to close the distance immediately, it might be worthwhile for us to actually hang back first and then attack later. Wow, he got messed up quick. Okay. Alright, let's see if we can get to this guy over here. Coming in, coming in, coming in. Da 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 da. Fire! Run away! Oh my god, he missed. Oh my god, he missed. Get him, get him, get him, get him. Get him. It doesn't matter. Well, at least stealth worked at that time. We haven't got issues with steering. Yes, that's a good idea. Let's capture the base. Let's do that. So we can at least get ourselves a win. So I did damage. I can't get to the base. But I don't think they're gonna need me all that much, to be fair. I think I could just get there by going backwards. Well, I made it. Alrighty, so this is the Stealth Tank, and now I'm just going to do a quick rundown of how this was actually put together. So I did mention before, let's just remove that so I can get in underneath it. The right here is the lightweight frame, that's the centerpiece, and the front of the cabin is actually mounted to that. If we have a look here, this is the back of the cabin. And right here we have a 2x4 standard frame, and we have 2x4 standard frames mounted in a sort of cross formation behind it. And then this, of course, is our ammo pack, which is nestled underneath the cabin there, protected by a van bumper, completely hidden away, so you really wouldn't be able to see that. It would take a pretty lucky shot to actually destroy it. One that probably goes underneath it. But here we have the tracks. These are the small tracks, which you can get from the lunatics. And these are mounted directly onto the 2x4 frames. And then I've put a series of grills, so you can see this grill is actually mounted to the frame and the cabin. And then we've got I believe this is the square grill, that's mounted over the top of that, giving us a bit of space to put some armor on the sides, and that sort of protects the tracks from the sides. Now what I could do alternatively is put the armor on the front of these tracks to protect both of them from frontal attack, which, to be fair, was kind of a weakness of this design, is that, yeah, if we get hit with a cannon round, for example, just around here or here, it is enough to damage not just the chameleon module, but the frames and the tracks as well. So that's a bit of a weakness there. So it could actually do with some armor on the front instead of the sides for the front tracks here. But I was just doing this mainly to keep it symmetrical, and of course kind of go with that stealth tank design from Command & Conquer. So yeah, it was just kind of to keep with the aesthetics and hopefully make it somewhat viable. Ultimately, this is not really a build that you would try to replicate to really do well with. If you like chameleon builds, though, you could probably base something on this and maybe swap some wheels out or something like that instead of tracks. But ultimately, it's just a build that I wanted to make because I liked the look and I liked the way it functioned. But unfortunately, it's probably not the most viable build at all. And frankly, I don't think it performed very well at all. Not at this power score, anyway. Now, the launchers mounted here, this is probably the weakest part of this design, in fact, is that its main weapons are not mounted directly onto the cabin or any part that's structurally sound. It really is just mounted on these struts. And these are very exposed. They don't have a lot of structure as well, so they're very easily damaged, especially with such large hitboxes on them. So, if you are using Wasp launchers, then it's probably worthwhile to try and mount them somewhere else. The alternative to that is using pyre launchers. If you have access to pyre launchers, then you could use those instead. Just bear in mind that they do function quite differently to the Wasps, and while they do similar damage, you might be better at long range with those instead of the short range that these are intended for. So ultimately, it's a good concept, I think, but probably not something I would continue using. Definitely not. But we'll see how it performs with the Cricket 17s instead, because those are significantly stronger. They use more energy, but they do fire a much larger volley as well, and we might actually be able to do more damage and get away with it with something like that. But we shall see. Once that is completed, I'm kind of excited to show you that one. But thank you very much for watching. This is the Stealth Tank, and let me know how you got on. If you have tried doing chameleon builds or any sort of cloaking builds, what would your suggestions be? What have you tried to put together? And let me know how you've got along with it. If you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you are new to the channel. My name is Panzer, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.